Hello beautiful people, welcome to my channel. My name is Sanyu to all of you that are new, and today we have here with me Nyabana. Nyabana is a wonderful, strong, phenomenal woman that I met at an event when we were celebrating International Women's Day. We got chatting and we clicked, and so here we are. Welcome, Nyabana.
Oh, thank you so much for
to this beautiful space.
Thanks for the amazing introduction.
You're very welcome. So today we're going to be talking about domestic violence. And so it is something that I feel like it's not, it is talked about, but not as much. It is a taboo as well in certain cultures. And so we're here to kind of just raise awareness, just from a different perspective. So please be patient with us, and I really hope that this is something that, if you have not experienced, if you haven't experienced it, you take something from it, and if you've experienced it, we're hoping that obviously you're in a good place, and if you're not, to definitely seek help. To start with, I would like to actually just read a few statements from 1-800-RESPECT. If you haven't realized, Nyabana has gone through a domestic violence, and so she's going to be telling us our story and just also helping us to understand better and find ways to get help. Okay, so as I said, I'm just going to read a few statements about what domestic violence is and who is a target for domestic violence, who it happens to, and then we will go on from there to Nyabana's story. Domestic and family violence happens when one person in a relationship hurts another or makes them feel unsafe. It can happen in any kind of relationship, not just with husbands and wives or boyfriends and girlfriends. Abuse doesn't have to involve hurt to your body or physical violence to be domestic or family violence. And if you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, you can contact 1-800-RESPECT or 1-800-737-732 or through online chat. Now, who's affected by domestic and family violence? It goes across almost any human, as long as there is some sort of a relationship. Boyfriends, girlfriends, partners, husbands, wives, ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends, carers or paid support workers, parents, adult children, basically anybody that has got a relationship with somebody else. Okay, so I will leave it there to the more official things, and if you want to know more information, there is a lot of resources on 1-800-RESPECT.org.au. Okay, and so we will go on now to Nyabana's story. And so I have a few questions that I have, we've written down, and we're going to try to answer those questions. And I like to think that it will actually cover, like a good picture of everything. Obviously, I am thankful that I have not experienced domestic violence, and so I will be learning as well, and I'll be asking certain questions that somebody that from the perspective of somebody that has not experienced it, and Nyabana will give us a new understanding. So Nyabana, tell us, how did domestic violence start for you, and when did you realize that you were a victim of domestic violence?
I would say domestic violence, like all domestic and family violence, doesn't happen straight away. I didn't experience domestic and family violence straight away. I was dating my ex for a good 3 years before I fell pregnant and decided to move in together with him. And within that, there wasn't any signs. There wasn't any red flags that I saw that he would have been violent or like just controlling or anything like that. So I think I would say it started probably after I had my first child and we moved in together. And that's when the control started, and it just started just with little simple things. Like I wasn't allowed to wear what I wanted to wear, otherwise I was labeled as a bad parent. I was labeled as a bad mother for choosing to wear certain clothing that I wanted to wear.
Yes,
you know.
Yes. So do you think that he looked at you differently after you had?
Yes, I would put it that way. Yes,
which
because
is
he had, when we were dating, I felt like he saw me and accepted me for what I was.
Yeah.
But after I had my son and we started living together, he had a different image of me.
Right.
He had a different image of me, and I had to live to that image.
Yeah.
So I had to be that really modest, very he wanted me to dress a certain way, talk a certain way, behave a certain way. And I think it's to go with his the persona that he carried within his friendship circle, within the community. So I also had to fit that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
But everything else that I was before, it's not fitting to his image. It's not fitting
it's irrelevant now.
Yes, it's not fitting to his good image. And I had to follow that. I had to dress differently, otherwise automatically I was a bad parent. It'd be like, what type of mother dresses like that? Even though like it wasn't like anything inappropriate. It was just different ways of me expressing myself, you know?
And it wasn't anything new, because you had been for 3 years.
We were dating for 3 years, you know? We were boyfriends and girlfriend for 3 years. It wasn't something brand new. It wasn't like I came out of nowhere and was like, oh, this is something brand new that I want to wear. It's stuff that he's seen me wear time over time, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. And so when did you feel like you were a victim of domestic violence?
To be honest, I experienced domestic violence for a good 10 years. I didn't really realize I was a victim of domestic violence until this year, February 2020.
Wow.
It's very sad. But yeah, before that, if somebody came to me and was like, oh, you've experienced domestic violence, or, you know, you're a victim, I'd be like, no, what are you talking about? I'm not like a victim or anything like that. It took me to a place where I nearly lost my life for me to realize that I was actually a victim of domestic violence.
So in your mind, if you were not a victim of domestic violence, what were you then?
In my mind, I was in a relationship with somebody that was really bothered, and I felt like it was in my place to fix that person. I know now that you can't fix anybody, because I saw so many good qualities within him.
Yeah.
And I felt like, you know what, if I love this person more, if I forgive him more, if I give more and more and more, he will get to a place where he'll become the father that my kids deserve. He will be the partner that I deserve.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you think that it would have made a difference if you didn't have kids with him, in terms of how you would have like handled it?
No, definitely. If I didn't have kids with him, I would have handled it like way differently, because I don't take nonsense from people. Anybody that knows me, I'm not about that life. I'm not about people hurting other people. You know, whether it be verbally, whether it be physically, or in any way. Like, I would have definitely handled it differently. I would have left straight away. Like, I don't think it would have even lasted 2 seconds, to be honest with you.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Fair
enough. And these are some of the things that I think, as people who have not experienced domestic violence, that we really need to take into consideration and be really mindful when we're speaking to people that are experiencing it or have, because there's always many factors that are underlying. It's not always black and white. And that's something that I've come to a realization as I've spoken to so many of my friends that have gone through it or are going through it. Next question is, how did your culture affect your actions? As in, did you feel like with your cultural background you could, seek help from the community, from your family, or did you feel like you would be judged or not taken seriously?
I felt like from my culture background, I felt like I would definitely be judged for making the choice of leaving.
Yeah.
I felt like people would have just, degraded me literally into nothing because I'm not that powerful or strong woman that they perceive within my culture and other cultures as well.
Yeah.
Other cultures play the same role where a woman is meant to just be that strong person and handle all that
and get all the
abuse,
a lot of punches.
get punches thrown at her left, right, center, but she's meant to stay. I felt like if I go to the community and say this, and this specific person that's been abusing me this whole time has this great, because he had a great persona. He was something else outside to what he was.
With those ones.
To what he was to me.
Those ones.
Yeah, to what he was to me.
Yeah.
He was a different person when we were together, and then a different person from the outside. So who was I to go tell people that this guy is bad when he hasn't really shown anything that he's bad? Do you know what I mean?
So you didn't feel like people would believe you?
Yeah, I didn't feel like they would believe me.
And then they would think less of you.
Yeah, they would think less of me because it's like, why are you not woman enough to handle that? Like,
handle your business at home.
Yeah.
Wow.
In private, you're meant to, you're supposed to be the woman. You're meant to handle all of that in private. And it happens. It doesn't just happen within our community, the South Sudanese community. It happens in a lot of cultures. I have had friends from different backgrounds that have experienced the same thing where they feel like, oh, if I leave, I'm going to get judged, I'm going to get blamed, I'm going to get shamed, and I'm just going to be degraded into like literally nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is such a shame, and it's something that we really need to change, and that's why we're talking about this. Like, I just want to just speak on the things, shade light on the things that we shy away from, we want to keep under the carpet. They really need to come to light because, like, it just cannot continue. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just needs to stop. But I realize that it's going to take time for it to. So in the meantime, we just need to keep talking about it and calling out men to be supportive. If a woman is going through domestic violence and you're a male friend or family member, please do something. Please do something about it.
And speaking of doing something, it's everyone's responsibility. Like, it's not just your family and friends' responsibility. It's everybody's responsibility. If you hear a woman screaming and that's your neighbor, call the police. Yeah. Literally call the police. I used to have a different understanding of, if I heard a woman screaming in the background, I used to be like, maybe they're just having a fight. That's not my business. But how about if I actually made that phone call? I could have saved that lady's life, It's everybody's responsibility. It's everyone's responsibility. It's not just the victim's family's responsibility. It's all our responsibility.
Yeah.
And I feel like males, especially males, need to call out, their other male friends.
That's a good point.
They need to call out their other male friend instead of you're knowing that your friend is doing such things, but you're not actually calling them out for it.
Oh yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And if my friend was doing such thing, I would. That's not my friend straight away. Yeah. I would not tolerate that, because violence is not okay. It's not okay.
No.
It destroys life. It ends people's lives.
Yeah.
It destroys kids' lives, and it makes them traumatized for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely.
It takes such a long time to get kids away from that traumatizing place. I had to, for the last how many years, reheal my kids. Every couple of years, reheal my kids. But it's like, if we all took that responsibility to have those conversation and have those other males call out my ex, you know, for what he has done, instead of like sitting with him and then it's like, oh yeah, bro, what you're doing is it's good, and instead of telling him like, you know, what you're doing it's absolutely wrong, and violence is not okay. Any forms of abuse is not okay.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. The next question is a hot question. And as a matter of fact, you actually wanted me to ask this question. Okay, so here we go. Why didn't you leave?
First and foremost, leaving a domestic violence situation is very, very extremely dangerous. Like, you shouldn't just... It's a thought process. And once you make that decision to leave, you are taking, you know, that power and control away from the person that's abusing you.
Yeah.
So I personally didn't leave because I grew up in a background where I didn't have my mom and my dad in my life.
Yeah.
And family has always been very important to me. I don't know where I got that from, but yeah, I just have it naturally. I have this passion.
It's a DNA.
Yeah, it's just within me to be part of a family and to have, you know, mommy and daddy and the kids running around and that family dynamic. So I have always wanted that family dynamic. So when I already had my kids when all of this abuse started. So for me to even think about leaving, I was thinking that I'm ripping my kids away from their dad.
Wow, yeah.
And I was already being told nearly every day of my life that I was a bad mother. So making that choice of ripping my kids away from their father, I just felt like, okay, I'm like...
He's already calling you a bad mother. Like, this is even going to add more salt.
Exactly.
And now you're basically going to prove that you're a bad mother because you're now taking your kids away from their father.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I felt like I shouldn't. I felt like I shouldn't. And it was a thought out process. It took me a good 5 to 6 years before I actually officially left, because I've been thinking about it time after time, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it next year. I'll leave next year. No, I'll leave next year. And it just got worse and worse, and the abuse got worse and worse, because it went from control to emotional and psychological abuse to physical abuse. Wow. So it just
progressed to like its worst.
It just got worse and worse. But why I didn't leave was mostly love, I would say.
Yeah.
Love for my children, wanting my kids to have their father there.
Yeah.
Even
you didn't have.
Yeah. Even though I knew, like, by the time 6 years came and I thought about it, I knew that I wasn't in a healthy relationship. No. Wow. I hope that answered your question.
No, it did, and then some.
And I just wanted to add, like, it's really hard when people come and ask victims that have experienced domestic and family violence, and they come up to them and be like, why didn't you leave? And they come up with their own reasonings, or they respond before that the victim actually responds. I feel like you might not resonate with the victim because you haven't gone through that situation. And it's okay. It's okay not to, you know, resonate with what somebody else has experienced, because especially if you haven't experienced the same thing. But I feel like you just, as a person, you just need to have that empathy towards another human being, and not say silly things like, oh, you know, you really acted your relationship really well, you know? Did I really acted it well, or did the perpetrator, the person that was abusing me, really acted really well?
I think that for me, the lesson here is listen. Okay? Listen. Do not make any assumptions. And then ask the person, how can I help you?
It's hard to say, but listen without judgment, and be careful. Be careful how your wordings come out, because you might be hurting that person. That person might be like in a place where they are healing, and, you know, and they've actually, you know, are in a place where they're touching that light of hope. but your wording can actually
Trigger
take them,
things back.
trigger them and take them back to where they don't need to be.
Yeah. One other thing I really wanted to ask you is mainly because like man is no island. We always have to lean to somebody or talk to somebody. Mm-hmm. So maybe you didn't talk to your family, maybe not your community members, but was there any, like, did you have a friend or a couple of friends, or did you get any help at all from anybody?
It sounds really crazy, but for 10 years I had a secret.
Wow.
And that secret was I was experiencing domestic and family violence, and I didn't share it with a soul. I didn't share it with any of my co-workers. I didn't share it with my close friends. I didn't share it with any of my family members. And the reasoning was, I felt like the guy had a problem, and I felt like I had to fix it. But if I tell everybody else what's going on, they're just going to add their judgment into it, and they're just going to judge him before he actually heals. So I didn't tell nobody. I was silent about it.
That breaks my heart.
Silence does not really help to domestic and family violence. It makes it worse. It prolongs your pain, and the pain that you put yourself in as a victim, and the pain that your children will go through as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow, that really just breaks my heart. It truly does, because you're not the only one.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you're so not the only one, and I think, like you said before, it is all of us are responsible. If she didn't feel like she will be judged, she would have reached out to somebody, you know. So moving forward, let's talk about things that we can do. You got out of it, right?
Yeah.
Briefly, how did you get out of it?
Again, I said, I'm crazy. I got out of it without seeking help. You should never, ever, ever, ever get out of a domestic violence situation without actually seeking the right help. Whether it be the right professional help or help from family and friends. Don't do it by yourself.
Now that you're in a different place, what have you done to educate yourself? What are some places that you would recommend for people to go to get help besides family and friends?
If you're experiencing domestic and family violence, you should start. If you want to leave, well, you should leave, actually, because that's not healthy.
Yes,
leave
straight away.
Yes. Leave. But before leaving, seek help. Seek the right professional help. You can call 1-800-RESPECT. They can help you with seeking counseling. You can contact DV Connect.
Yeah.
They can help you get out of that situation. And you don't just do it in a private way where you are safe, because, like I said, leaving a domestic and family violence situation is the most dangerous. That's the most dangerous time for you.
And is it more because, is it the mental repercussions of it? Like,
no, it's not. It's not from the victim. It's not from the victim part. It's from the abuser. The abuser.
Oh, okay. Let's go. Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
You leaving will make the abuser beyond angry, and he will act out in
rage,
and
anger.
He will do
everything
that is terrible to you, because you have finally taken that power away.
So seek help.
Seek professional help.
Professional help.
Not just family help, but seek professional help. Because sometimes if you seek only family help, they know where your families live. It's scary. They know where your families live. In domestic violence situation, there's like one woman murdered every week in domestic violence situation. It's scary.
Wow. That is a statistic. It's statistic. This has been really, really enlightening. Thank you very much, Nyabana, for, you know, having the courage to be able to sit here with me and actually, you know, tell us everything that you have, because I've actually asked a few other women before if they would be willing to talk about it, and they're not comfortable doing it, which is absolutely fine, because it is something that obviously you expose yourself, you know, to a certain degree as well, and not everybody is willing to do that or is, you know, outspoken, but we are grateful to people like you that have got the courage to let other women know that you are not alone. And so my job is to, if I see anything that is weird, that is just looks unsafe, if I hear any screams, I need to do something about it. So thank you very much, guys, for taking the time to watch this video. It is a very important topic that we all need to be having conversations about, and, you know, like just spreading awareness about. I'll be linking all the websites that we've talked about down below, and please leave any comments, any questions that you have, whether to Nyabana or to me. Please leave them below, and we will try to answer them as much as possible. But otherwise, till next time, have a wonderful day or night, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Mwah! Bye. Thank you. Bye.